Yes, sir.
A little chilly.
A little chilly in the TNA garage, bro.
Yes, sir.
It's all right. It's all good.
All right, we're just coming to you guys live from, like you said, TNA's garage. So I am Tony.
I'm Andy.
And together we have put together this little thing called TNA Consulting. You can take the TNA for Tony and Andy, and that's pretty much it. If you take it past that, cool, it's on you. We just have been through some life experiences and just want to share them with other people and hopefully help at least someone.
Absolutely. And why don't we start with pouring some drinks, bro?
Yeah, let's get some drinks poured. What are we going with?
We'll go Screwball, bro.
Screwball on ice.
Screw it.
Screw it. Don't know if anyone out there has had Screwball. If you haven't, it's called Screwball, and it's a peanut butter whiskey. We keep it chilled, and we drink it over ice. It's great for shots. It's great for making other drinks. You can Google it. All we care about is that you enjoy it.
Yes, sir. And we're also going to typically light up a cigar. I recently went to Little Havana in Miami and picked up a couple of boxes of cigars from Bello. So Peter at Bello in Little Havana, we're killing your cigars here, bro. So we're going to do a couple of their nice blends. I watched them roll these in the store.
So
Barber
this one's
Pole.
the Barber Pole, 1896. Haven't had this one yet, but the other three that I've already had been phenomenal. Great draws, great pulls.
Fantastic.
Ash stayed on. Didn't go out on me but once, but we were stuck in the mud and I was trying to push a Jeep out of the mud. So we'll get
to that more later.
We'll get to that more later. But no, these are great sticks.
Well, we figured we've been talking about starting to collaborate on a book, podcast, something. I thought what we would do is just start with some recordings, pick a topic. We'll start just talking through it while we down a cigar, some drinks, have some good times, and like I said, hopefully we help a few people. We've helped each other through some pretty strong life experiences, and we both realize that makes us happy, helping others, which is also one of the things that we'll talk about along the way. But today we're going to talk about being a chameleon, and we'll get into a whole lot of details on that. But
So one of the tough times that we both went through, and I don't know when it came about, but it was, I don't know if I said it, you said it, I don't know. We came back to it numerous times, and it just became a thing and a topic, is being a chameleon. And as far as being a chameleon in a relationship, and yes, we are going to talk about relationships quite a lot, because that's what we've been through, that's what's the most painful, that's what a lot of people can't see. And there's so many different topics to hit on, even the things I just said, but we're going to try to stick with being a chameleon. And with that said, it means I am a chameleon, which is its own separate reptilian entity. And I will never be a snake. I will never be a cheetah. I will never be an elephant.
Well, maybe below the belt, but yeah.
Like I said, there's all kinds of different topics that we can get off on. That's what she said. So, being a chameleon, it just goes along the lines of, yes, a chameleon can change to his surroundings. It can adapt to what it's seeing, what it's feeling, its colors, but it's never, ever not going to be a chameleon. It's always going to be that. You're never going to look at that thing, no matter what color it is, size, shape, its tongue's coming out getting an insect or whatever. It is always going to be a chameleon.
That chameleon. Like Tony said, we've talked about this many times, and we finally labeled it being a chameleon, but really, we both, and we'll talk about this more too, but we're both givers, and that's what makes us happy. to be, and so Tony also mentioned we've been through some relationships. We've been through some deep, painful experiences, but both of us, I think, without putting words in Tony's mouth, agree that relationships are. I mean, that's what we live for. I know if the human race was going to die off and I was going to be the only one, sorry, peace out. I don't want
to be alone.
I'm happy when I'm with somebody. I'm happy when I'm loving somebody. I'm happy when I'm doing things for them. And from a chameleon perspective, we both have figured out we're very good at a number of things. And I say very good at. We have a wide variety of likes and interests. And to be a chameleon to us in this particular instance is finding those pieces of yourself that most match who you're with. And so we've been, both of us have been, have had exes for many, many years, combined 50
years.
50 years.
Yeah, 50 years.
Between the two of us of marriage and dating of the same person. We both started very young, didn't have a clue what we were doing, but we made it work. I have no regrets. That's a strong statement. I certainly have things that I regret, but from a relationship perspective, we've both come out of this with two amazing children. Exes.
He has his own children. I have my own children. Let's just be clear on that.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you. Yeah, we both have two. I've got at the present moment, I have a 22-year-old daughter and a 19-year-old son.
And I have two daughters, and this year they will be 16 and 17 years old.
Wait for that gray hair, bro.
Yeah. You see my beard, right?
Bro.
Okay. Yeah. It's coming.
Yeah. So the point is we've gone through some pretty painful life lessons. We've both pulled each other out of the depths of let's just call it hell.
Yeah. Hashtag depression. Hashtag dark places I never ever thought I could possibly be. And it goes right into I don't want to say chameleon like 42,000 times, but it goes right into being a chameleon, and also what our main basis of everything that we're ever going to talk about is being a giver. Yeah. And if you're sitting there and you're like, man, I don't know if I'm a giver or not.
You're probably not a giver.
You're probably most likely not a giver.
Yeah, so that was one thing that we've talked about too. And by the way, we've both learned the love languages. We've both done a lot of soul searching since our divorces, and again, not that long ago for both of us.
Yep.
But we've learned a lot, and what we have found is we've answered questions for each other that neither one of us found in our own either therapist sessions, self-help online material, books, etc. But and so we felt almost the compelling desire to share what we've done for each other, in the hopes that that it helps even just one other person.
Yeah,
I mean that's.
Let's get one thing straight though. We have gone to therapists. We have gone to family members. We have tried to deal with shit ourselves. We have went to our significant other. We've done literally everything in the book and by the book. And we have listened to books. We've read books. We've done everything that you could possibly do. And the main thing of this is that we've came up with...
There's a few things missing.
Yeah, there's a few things missing from your therapist session. There's a few things missing from reading a book. There's a few things missing from dealing with it by yourself, letting yourself go to a dark place. And if you suffer from depression, I mean, that's something that, and also anxiety, that's clinical. And we're not saying that you're wrong for that, but we can definitely give you some serious pointers on things that get you through something, and not only just get you through it, but make you a better person, and the person that you are going to be with better for them. And
I also want to say too, it's been an eye-opening experience. I know for me, I know for Tony. We since we were both married young, and since we were both married for a very long time to the same individual for me, I was dating and or married to my ex for almost 30 years. It was 29 and a half years. For Tony, it was...
Mine was 22 years.
So, it was, since we did that so young, since we were, involved in that relationship for so long, we found now that we see things looking back, we didn't know a lot. And again, that's one of the things that, we're probably very different from somebody who, dated 55 people before they settled down with somebody. Yeah. And maybe not, right? So we're not going to make any presumptions, but we figured, hey, the last couple of years have been eye-opening.
Extraordinarily eye-opening. And we can dive right into just point blank being blind. Like, I don't want to call us stupid, because I know neither one of us are stupid. We both have degrees. We're not going to dive into that and make you feel like a piece of shit. But we were stupid.
We were stupid.
And blind. And I'm not going to sit here and talk shit about my exes. I'm not. I won't do that. But I am divorced for a reason. And we were fucking blind as to the things that we wanted, the things that we needed, and the things that we gave that we never got in return. It, like, straight up blind as a fucking bat. And it sucked to go down the road that we went down emotionally, depression, like everything that we hit. It sucked to go down that road knowing that we could have changed it ourselves, but we're such givers. And I'm not boasting or anything. Being a giver, and if you're a giver, you may feel the same way, like, oh, like, I'm being supportive for you, I'm giving everything, I'm waking up every day and wanting to make you happy and do things for you. Or when I'm out at the store, like stupid shit, when I'm out at the store, oh, I'll buy you flowers, or I'll buy you this lipstick because I know this is your lipstick, or ask you if you need anything on your way home. It's the stupidest, smallest shit that you never even think about, that you also don't get in return, or that it's never complimented, or that it's never acknowledged. Like the acknowledgement of any type of giving love or nourishment to your significant other. And by the way, gay, lesbian, whatever it is, I say significant other, that's what I mean. This is not a straight thing at all. So if you're not, if you're giving all this and you're not receiving any of the things that you need, and we're going to talk about love languages, whether your love language is touch, whether it's acts of service or
words of affirmation,
whatever your love language is, or you have multiple love languages, or whatever it is, if you're not getting it back and you don't realize you're unhappy, you're in a sinking ship.
And we were both there, and kind of ties in with being a chameleon too, and being a chameleon again, like, don't want to use the word too many times, but from our perspective, one of the things of being a giver is, in many cases, two things. One, you don't realize, or we didn't realize, what we weren't getting back in return. And at the same time, you can also lose yourself in doing so much for someone else
100%,
that until you kind of stop and do some reflection, or it turns you into a person that needs and craves things that you don't even realize until it's too late. So I mean, it's just it's a danger. But we've talked about, and we've already hit on or hinted towards being givers versus takers. You put two givers together, and it becomes a competition of who's going to give more, and that's a beautiful thing.
It's an insane thing.
You put a giver and a taker together, and that can work. It worked for a combination of 50 years for the two of us. But there's some drawbacks. You put two takers together, and
good luck. Good fucking luck.
Guess what? One of them's either going to change and begin giving, which, by the way, that's something else that we have both realized, recognized is, while we will talk about being a chameleon, and kind of altering ourselves to the situation, whomever that may be, whatever that situation may be. It's that to us is part of being a chameleon. It's and it's not changing ourselves, which that's where I was kind of going with this. Is we have recognized you can choose to change, you cannot change someone else. They can choose to change. So, like I said, if you put two takers together, either one of them is going to change and become a giver. Both of them are going to change and become givers and takers in different scenarios. But if change does not occur, if neither one of them wants to change, it will end in disaster, or it will end with two people being very unhappy that are just committed to make it work.
If you're sitting there and you've ever asked someone to change, your significant other, if you've ever asked them to change who they are or to become chameleon, if you've ever asked them to do that, it will only result in defeat. It's going to result in resentment from them to you. It's going to result in you questioning them. It's going to result in a lot of things. And when you ask someone to change who they are, it's never, ever going to be a true change. I don't know if any smokers are out there. I know I'm smoking a cigar, but if you smoke cigarettes and you have your significant other telling you need to quit smoking cigarettes, which you do because you're going to die from cancer. But if you have them telling you need to stop smoking tomorrow, that's not your decision. And it
won't be successful.
It's not going to be successful
unless
at all.
they want it. I mean, that's the only person that can choose to change anything is themselves.
That person.
Yeah.
And if you have asked someone to change and they did, well then great, that's what they wanted. They changed for you. And that's great. That is fucking amazing. But if you're asking someone to change and they don't want to, then you probably shouldn't be together. I don't know if that hurts. I don't know if that's harsh.
And if that's something, and again, one thing that we've also realized, that, no one's perfect. No. However, I will say, then this is part of the eye-opening experience that both of us have encountered, is there are truly great people out there that are just like you, Tony, me. Whomever you are. There is a match out there for you, I promise. We have now, since being divorced, we have met some amazing people. People call them soulmates, twin flames, friends.
Yeah.
This is one example right here. We met before we knew anything about how dumb we were.
And blind.
Yeah. But we've like I said, we've helped each other through the absolute worst parts of our lives so far, and we have a pretty high combined age between the two of us.
Yeah, we do.
So,
I could say that we both helped each other through the depths of hell. At our worst points, we've both seen each other at our worst points. And I'm not saying we're together.
But we are. We love each other.
I love the shit out of this dude, and this dude loves me. And
part of being a giver, if Tony calls me, and by the way, I live 6.5, almost 7 hours away.
Almost 7 hours away.
Tony calls me and says, "Hey, man, I need some help. I'm in the car and I'm here in 7 hours." And people think that's a little crazy. Either he's at my place or I'm at his place once a month.
Once a month at least. Let's dive into that, how in depth that is. Because for Andy to say, "Tony, I need you here. I can't talk about it right now. I need you here." I am going to make sure, first of all, my kids are cool. Everything's set with my house. And in about 20 minutes, I'm going to be in that truck on the road and seeing this dude in 6.5, 7 hours. I don't care what it is. I don't even care. And this is a friend relationship, not downplaying our relationship because this dude's my best friend, but
yeah, it's not a life partner. It's not a It's not a significant other. It is a significant other, but not in that way. And we're like that not just for each other. That again, that kind of comes back full circle about being a giver. and we'll talk about. I mean, there's certainly grades of giving and taking, and we both have the same mentality, and quite frankly, always have. I mean, this is something that
Always have.
If anyone, even my ex, which she happens to be 10 hours away from me, if she were to call me and say, I need X, I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Because that's how we're wired. We just and likewise, if I know I need something from Tony, I'll just as happily drive here to see him. I mean, we are the type of people that just we do. We don't plan. We don't come up with excuses.
Nope.
And this is something even with significant others that again differentiates, I think, us from the norm.
That's where I think that we can expand a little bit, is that we are different from the norm. And please don't sit there and hear this and be like, I would never, ever get in the car and drive 7.5 hours to see my best friend. Fuck that. That doesn't mean you're a piece of shit. That doesn't mean you're not a giver. That just means Andy and I are living every moment.
In the moment.
In the moment of 100%. Everything that we do. And when I say everything that we do, I mean every single thing that we do. We are living in the moment. We're not being stupid about things and losing our jobs because we all have bills to pay. We all need more money. We're not sacrificing going to see Andy over a significant other or over my children. And I wouldn't expect him to do the same thing. Like if I called him and I said, hey man, I really need you here, and he had something going on with one of his kids, I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, man. You deal with that first, and then if you can make it, you can make it.
Right.
I'm not saying,
or we talk through it on,
or FaceTime each other or something.
Whatever.
I'm not saying that. I am saying that I know that someone is gonna feel who we are, and they're like, oh my god, I'm the exact same person. I would definitely do that. And I'm also saying, and if you're not gonna do that for your best friend, that's fine. You're not a piece of shit. Stay at home.
Yeah.
Like, we're both extroverts.
Yeah, and we're both we both also love to travel.
Yeah.
I mean
I love driving.
Have no problem getting behind the wheel, and either behind the wheel or behind the handlebar for me.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Here we go. Here we go. Go,
hey,
tell him. Okay.
I'll plug the Harley around
cool.
too. So I definitely live the Harley lifestyle. So but I like to be on the road.
Yeah.
This time it's in my Jeep, same Jeep that Tony talked about earlier, stuck in mud, pushing it out. So let's just pause there, because we just went through Austin's worst snowstorm ever.
Like, today is February 18th, and he came here February 17th. The worst fucking snowstorm Austin has ever seen. Ever. As far as what CNN says. I don't know what Fox says. But
and I drove through it.
And he drove through it. And likewise, when he said, hey man, come down to my place over in Louisiana.
That's right.
I drove through a fucking hurricane. The one that hit.
I thought about
what
that.
Was that?
I forgot about that. There were 3 within like 2 weeks.
Everyone was like, Tony, what are you doing? I was like, I'm going to see my best friend. They're like, yeah, there's a hurricane coming. I'm like, yeah, that hurricane is not hitting for 8 hours. It only takes me 6 hours to get there. I'm good. They're like, well, yeah, but then you're going to be in a hurricane. I'm like, yeah, but so is he. I was like, we'll be in the hurricane together. It's not a big deal. And it turned out the hurricane didn't hit his house. And we feel bad for everyone the hurricane did hit because
we drove through it. Because guess what? The highway was closed because I rode back with this mofo.
Yep.
And that 7-hour drive took
14 hours.
14 hours.
And I was pulling his Harley with my truck. But these are just all, for instances, these are the type of people that we are.
Yeah.
If you're a Cancer or you're I go into signs. I do. I believe in like the signs, and I do, but I don't let it rule my life. But so I'm an Aries.
Aquarius.
Happy birthday yesterday. Whatever.
Which is why I made the drive through Austin's worst.
Yeah. We're just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah.
But we're not saying that you have to do these things to be a giver. We're not. What we are saying is being a giver is sometimes really, really, really tough when you're not getting a portion of what you're giving back. Because if you are a giver, I guarantee you that's your source of happiness. And if a source of happiness that is not received properly for you, whatever way you need to be loved. However you need to be loved, whether touch, affirmation, gifts, or whatever, whoever made these love languages up, which is great, whichever one of these is yours, if you're not getting that back when you're giving all of you, something's wrong. And we want people to realize.
And at some point, it changes you to the point where you lose yourself. And that's that's the danger of being a giver. That's the danger of being a chameleon. And I will also say that was the eye-opening part for us. We both felt that we were in relationships where we weren't worthy of what we were getting. I mean, I know
not at all.
I know I many times just all I wanted was to be seen the way I see others. And guess what? Those people are out there, and that was the eye-opening part. I mean, when we met, there was an instant connection. We met at a piano bar because I didn't make reservations and this mofo did, and they had 2 empty seats, and so my ex and I were summoned over and sat down, and immediately we connected. We hit it off. And we learned a lot about each other very quickly. However, neither one of us, again, going back to being blind, neither one of us knew what we didn't have and what we weren't getting. And that wasn't, I mean, we had so many conversations about how we were the luckiest 2 people on the planet in our current situations, which, looking back, neither one of us were in the right relationships. And again, I mean, this is not an ex-bashing session, because
it's not.
Both of our exes are wonderful people.
They're both happy.
They're both far happier than, at least I think, than where we were at, because we wanted things that they weren't wired to give. And part of that too, was, as givers and as complete givers, many times you don't ask for things that you want, and that's also that would be one thing that going into 2020, 2021, that was the one resolution I made to myself this year, is I'm going to start being a little bit selfish,
and that's okay.
And by being selfish, what I mean is I'm going to ask for the things that I want, because if you don't, guess what?
It may not ever happen, and you're going to sit there and think to yourself, why is this not happening? Because you may be a little blind and not realize why it's not happening. And then you're just continue on that path of like, oh, why didn't this happen? Or why didn't this happen? But I did this, why didn't this happen? If you didn't fucking tell someone what you want or what you need,
it may or may not come. I mean, that's the one. I mean, both of us, we look for, we crave, and we live for finding little tidbits of information about those that we do care about, so that we can do something special based on that. But guess what? That means that they have given us hints, and that's what we need to do for others as well. Because I would go out on a limb also. I mean, I don't think most people are 100% takers or 100% givers, and so you might be surprised what you get if you start asking for what you want.
Literally ask for what you want. If it's sexual, if it's emotional, if it's physical. I'm not going to talk about my relationship because I don't feel like it's any of your guys' business right at this point. But I have, in a relationship, that I've been told what they want. and then I also told that person what I want, and
It's an
it has
amazing thing.
been eye-opening, fucking eye-opening on what I actually got and what they got. And then we talked about it, and it's like, yeah, let's continue on this path. It is fucking amazing. It is the most amazing. I use eye-opening, but it's like heart-opening. It's like soul-opening, and it's like such a different level of connection, a different level of love, a different level of a relationship and what a relationship is supposed to be that I never knew existed. And it took a divorce to realize that.
To prompt it. Yeah. Yeah.
And I can sit here and I actually do know my ex is happy with the person that she's with, because I can't speak for her and I will not talk shit about her, but I do think that it also took a divorce for her as well to realize that someone else could make her happier because another person could do the things differently than what I did.
And at the end of the day, I mean, so back to our topic of being a chameleon. We both, and so speaking for myself, I did the things that I thought. I literally woke up every morning thinking, what can I do to make, at the time, my wife happy? Literally, that's how I woke up every day. But I did what I thought would make her happy, because she was not one that would tell me what she wanted, and I got a lot of it wrong. But at the same time, I also realized that I didn't tell her what I wanted, and so I ended up not getting any of what I was looking for. And part of it, I didn't even really know what I wanted. So part of it is, and I've said this many times when I started doing, because it took a divorce to start doing therapy. I've been to therapists before, but not to the point that I did after the divorce. That's the shit they should teach in high school.
Yeah.
Not geometry, trigonometry, whatever. It's human relationships, because guess what, guys? Just like the love languages, and probably even more so, and we'll talk about this in some of our other topics. We think there might be a little bit of something missing there, and it's, I think, also a little bit more of a simplified matrix.
There is something missing there. There is. Andy's being nice right now. He's not telling you what he wants. There is things missing there.
Yeah.
There is. The simplicity of the love languages, and I'm sorry I didn't Google it because I didn't care that much, of who created the love languages.
It's too simple.
It's too simple. It's not situational. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not per the type of person you are. And I know you can take the test. And Cosmopolitan says this, and 17
And guess
says
what?
this.
If you guys have taken the test, which if you haven't, it's worthwhile doing. But for me, I could have answered every question 2 or 3 different ways. And again, back to the type of person that I am and that Tony are. We're chameleons. So depending on the situation, depending on who's on the other side of that equation, we may answer it differently.
Yes, 100%.
So we end up coming up with different love languages based on who we see on the other side of that quiz at the time we're taking.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's very real in our relationships. I've actually dated several women that have everything from complete holistic hippie to CFO type.
Yeah.
And depending on who I'm with, I literally have every wardrobe you can imagine, and that's just one example. And when I say wardrobe, I mean everything from complete formal 5-piece suits to
Tell them about your Harley gear. Tell them about your Harley gear.
To every Harley imaginable, leather aspect to, complete, hemp polyester hippie clothes to, one of my favorite beach clothes. I literally, and again, I'm using wardrobe as just an example. But that's a reflection of all of those make me happy. and I don't identify with any of those, any singular one, but I've dated people who have a strong aversion to motorcycles, and that's okay. I've dated people that have a strong aversion to cigars, and that's okay.
You've also dated people that
are just the flip.
That don't have a Harley and never ridden one and never been on one. And
absolutely.
There's no issue with that.
Absolutely.
Because as long as the person you're with is not trying to change who you are. Like if he was, just for instance, this is no reflection of anyone he's dating or currently dating or anything. Put that out there. If someone he was dating, this is all hypothetical. If someone he was dating did not ride a Harley, that person shouldn't be like, no, I don't want you riding your Harley because it's a little dangerous and I actually don't ride motorcycles, so I don't want you riding yours. That's changing who you are.
Yeah, that I would
changing who you are. But if he's dating someone,
you don't have to get on the back, and guess
and
what?
He's not changing this person to get on. Like you have to get on the back of my motorcycle because that's what makes me happy. Is my motorcycle. Yeah. You have to get on the back. No, that's changing who that person is. And this is just. You can take what I just said about his Harley and who he's dating, whether they have one or not, or he has to have them on the back or not, and apply it to any situation that you're currently going through and say, am I changing this person from who they really are? Or are they trying to change me from who I really am? And if they are,
there's a problem.
There's a huge problem.
It warrants a conversation. And again, communication I think is key, and that's something that I think it's safe to say we both learned a painful lesson over. Again, at least from my perspective, my tendency is to just try to do for others and not ask for myself. I'm not a saint. I'm certainly not trying to portray that. But I think to a detriment for many years, I just didn't ask for what I wanted, and my true happiness, and I know this about Tony as well. I'm happy when I'm loving someone and doing something for them. Now, I'm happy when I know I've made an impact, and the only way for me to know I've made an impact is to have some sort of communication loop coming back. Doesn't have to be, oh my God, thank you, you're the best person on the planet. Doesn't have to be. No. Oh my gosh, I'm going to drop and give you a blowjob right now. It doesn't have to be. No. I mean, but somehow, I mean, it can be a true, genuine smile, a laugh,
or a touch on the arm.
I mean,
or say thank you, or anything that is an acknowledgement.
And believe me, many things that I do, rightfully so, goes unnoticed.
Yeah, but, because if I'm at your place and I took your shower heads off while you're at work, and I soaked them in baking soda because the flow was a little shitty, and then I put the tape back on the threads and put the shower head back on, and I didn't tell you, guess what? I'm not looking for acknowledgement because I did that shit because I know it'd make you happy without you knowing that I did it. But you would find out eventually. But I didn't do it for the confirmation. Because that's the type of person I am. I'm going to do things for you because that makes me happy. It makes me who I am. And if I'm with you, those things are going to happen. And if you don't like those things, I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about the person I'm with because she knows I'm happy and she's happy. Talking mainly to the listeners. Yeah, exactly that though. If you are hearing anything that we're saying and realizing maybe one argument you had, or you're feeling completely bound down, or you're feeling like, oh my God, I don't feel like I am who I am. I don't feel like I can be my true self around this person. Like I was completely different. Like if you were completely different before you met this person, it's probably not the right person for you. But if you were different, it's okay. I hope you guys can understand that, and I'm not like some idiot just saying difference and indifference. But if you were a little bit different and you conformed a little bit to be with this person and you're happy, perfect. Yeah. As long as you both are happy, that's what keeps it alive. But if you are a completely different person of who you are, just to be with this person, or just to, like, if they're gorgeous and you're like, oh, I don't deserve her, but I'm going to do all this and change myself just to be with her. No, you're an idiot. Like, stop it. And recent lights have came about in relationships that we've had, and the whole, like, true love, there's always one person out there for everybody. I'm not going to speak for Andy on this. I'm going to speak for Tony.
Do the Tony talk, and I'll do
I am saying that I do not believe that there is one person out there for one other person. I do believe that there are connections so deep and so close that you never ever thought you could have with someone until your eyes have been opened. I do believe that, and that you can have a deeper connection with someone else, but that doesn't mean that that person was the whole true love thing. I get it. I love the person I'm with. The person loves me. We show it. We accept it. Everything is what it is. Relationships are work.
Absolutely.
There is work that needs to be put in on their side, and you better fucking believe there's work to be put in on your side. And there's this saying out there that goes, if you do what you love every day, you'll never work a day in your life. And I put that into my relationship, because I don't feel as though the work that I'm putting into my relationship, the same way driving to Andy's house does not feel like work. Like, I love this dude. I love seeing this guy. I love hanging out with this guy. I love smoking cigars.
But some people would see that as, oh my gosh, that's a major chore to drive.
And some people would say touching your shoulder after you soak the shower heads is a major chore. Some people would say doing this is a major chore. I'm just saying every relationship is work. But if you're...
The key is finding the work that you love.
The work that you love. It's never going to feel like work. And if it ever does feel like work, you better fucking communicate and talk to that person. Because you're going to fight a losing uphill battle down shit creek with no paddles, however you want to look at it. Up shit creek, down shit creek, I don't know. It's a shit creek. Who wants to... No one wants to be there. Bad visual. If you find yourself there, you have to communicate. And if you're in a relationship where you feel like you can't communicate everything that you feel, you're in a bad relationship. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to tell you it's okay, because it's not. I'm not going to say go see a counselor. I'm not going to say read a book. I'm going to say talk to that person. And if talking to that person about what bothers you, what's fucked up, or anything, if talking to that person makes things worse and you don't do it because of the fact, you're wrong.
And let me give you a concrete example
you
of
are
that.
Fucking wrong.
If you go to your significant other, your person, and you say, hey, this is how I'm feeling about this, and you get the response, that's your problem, that's a problem. I mean, you should never feel... And this is where I differ from a few therapists that I've been to.
Yeah,
few therapists that I...
If you're sitting out there and you're a therapist, I'm sorry, we're going to talk shit about you.
Yeah, so...
Because it's called job security, and we know what you're doing.
Yeah, so, a therapist is going to say you can't rely on anyone for happiness. And there is some truth to that, so I'm not going to...
This is so fucking deep.
I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt there. You can't put your happiness on someone else's shoulders. However, if you are with the right person, you should feel 100% comfortable putting your desires, concerns, issues, happiness in their hands, just as they're putting them in your hands. So a therapist is going to tell you you can't rely on anybody for happiness, and oh, by the way, let's go ahead and book your several next sessions so that I can make you happy. It's a hypocritical
contradicting
statement, because if you are with someone who you truly love and truly loves you, they will help you in whatever you're going through. Tony and I have helped each other through
some shit.
some
shit.
Dark times that neither of us could have looked to our exes for anything other than the response of, that's your problem. And that, and again, I'm not shit talking my ex, Tony's ex. That's, however, in that particular situation, I don't want to be with somebody that doesn't make me happier than I am. I mean, that is my whole purpose of being with someone, is happiness. So, for my perspective, I absolutely am putting my happiness on someone else. That doesn't mean I can't be happy on my own, by myself, with Tony, with whatever. But I do want, enrichment in my significant other, not just somebody that, because I'm so happy with myself, that I can give them love. Now, I don't buy that. I really don't.
It's a crock of shit. It really is, because if like I can be like, this is my garage. This is TNA Consulting's location headquarters garage. But when Andy's back home, he's not fucking here. I'm making myself happy in my garage. I'm doing stuff. I'm
not on camera.
But I'm going through my fishing things. I'm going out on my boat. I'm going for a ride in my truck, even though it's not a fucking Harley. I don't care. I'll go for a drive just to clear my head. Like, I am doing things that make me happy that are solely on me. But that does not constitute you living your life to make yourself happy at all times when you're with someone. Because when you're with someone, that person should want to add to, continue to, and portray more of your own happiness. Yeah. And I'm just going to use this for an instance that has no relation to anything of anything. But if I am going through all my fishing stuff, you guys can't see it, it's hanging on the wall behind you, no one cares. It's fishing stuff. If you're a fisherman, okay, cool. But if I'm going through my fishing stuff, and I'm pulling down the poles, and I'm organizing my lures, or anything like that, I'm happy. But if someone comes to me and was like, hey, what are you doing? Can you tell me what you're doing? I want to know what you're doing. Like, yeah, I'm restringing this line, I'm pulling this old line off. And that person asks, why? Why are you doing that? Oh, well, because this is last year's line, and if I catch a fish this year, this line could break. So I'm going to put some new line on here. If that person wants to know what I'm doing, wants to know what's making me happy, they're contributing to my happiness.
And just as importantly, when you're not happy, because let's face it, we all go through times where everything's not rainbows and roses.
Everyone
Everyone
sees a point of depression.
When you're not happy, you should be able to go to someone. And for me, I'd rather go to my significant other than to a therapist. I don't care about the therapist. I'm paying that therapist. I care about the person that I'm with. And I've been to some therapists that they tell me a little bit about themselves, and I'm like, I should be your therapist.
I'm paying you to tell me what I want to hear, and you're doing a roundabouts. If someone's going to tell me what I don't want to hear, I'd rather it be my significant other so that we can work through it. Not a therapist who's going to tell me something that I don't want to fucking hear.
Again,
that doesn't help.
Again, I apologize for those of you that are therapists. But my significant other has an impact on me. I care what they think. I care how they feel I should solve my problems. And some people will say, well, those are your problems. Well, yeah.
They are.
They are.
They 100% are my problem.
And guess what? If my significant other comes to me with a problem,
that is now part of my problem.
I am 100% vested in helping to solve that problem.
Involved, vested, here I am, let's figure this out together.
And not only that, I want them to tell me, because that's how I'm going to learn how to make them more happy. And that's again, something that I differ strongly on with therapists and strongly on with some relationships that I've had in the past. That I want to know your problems. I want to know what troubles my significant other. Because man, if I can help that, again, back to being a giver, that's what makes me happy. So I will say, it's been an eye-opening year.
Very eye-opening.
I've been a martial artist my whole life, so a humongous a humongous influence in my life was Bruce Lee.
Yes, I'm not making fun of that.
And I recently saw a documentary called Be Water.
If you have not, repeat that because you said it weird.
Be Water.
If you have not seen this documentary,
it was awesome. It was done by ESPN.
I have not done martial arts all my life, but what Bruce Lee put into this documentary, what the people after he passed away put into this documentary about what they learned from him, his daughter, his family,
celebrities that took. I mean,
it is an amazing documentary that you can. He's talking about martial arts in the movie, but you can.
So from his
he's
perspective,
such a deep person.
He was a philosophy major.
Yeah.
But most of his thoughts were directly targeted at the style of martial arts that he created. The name of the documentary, Be Water, is after one of the most influential thoughts that he had, and that
Pause.
Go for it.
We're talking about relationships here, not martial arts.
Right.
That's the beauty of this documentary, is that you can take what he's about to say about being water and put it into your current relationship.
And it also ties directly into being a chameleon. Because to Bruce Lee, being water meant that you filled whatever space was there. So you can put water into any container, and it takes the shape of that container.
Immediately.
You can't punch water. You can't cut water. You can't hurt water. It seems weak, but it can penetrate rock. I mean, but from a relationship perspective, and this is something that I never realized. I have again multiple dimensions, multiple interests, activities that I'm all of a sudden finding. Wow, that's not only how I saw a style of martial arts, but that's how I live my life. And that is, I change, I adapt to the situation that's in front of me. Again, chameleon, water, whatever you want to call it. And I'm not losing myself. At least that's what I'm teaching myself now. But I'm rather finding pieces and parts of myself that I can connect with whomever I'm with. Because of my wide range of activities, interests, likes, etc. So kind of back to your, not going to answer this for Andy perspective, but is there one person out there for everyone? I think that at a minimum, and guess what? If there's only one out there, good luck finding them.
Good fucking luck.
There's a lot of people. Because
it's not going to be in your neighborhood.
There's a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
And so I truly believe, at least for me, I could be happy with a number of people. And
that are completely different.
Yeah. And that's, to me, that's been an uplifting, just amazing epiphany that, and I totally remember. So I started dating my ex when I was 16. She was 14, and we dated for 4 years. We went through all the pre-marriage counseling and stuff. And I remember a priest asking me point blank, "Do you think there's only one person out there for you?" And I answered, "Absolutely. I found my soulmate." And I truly thought that I did. And we had a great marriage for a good portion of our relationship. We ended with 2 amazing children. I am who I am today because of all those experiences that I've gone through. So But I would absolutely answer that question differently, and he was actually trying to get me to answer it differently, because it was very unlikely that I had found the one person on the planet that was meant for me.
In your neighborhood.
In my high school.
Weird.
But
God does work in mysterious ways. He does.
Oh, that he does.
He does.
Now that priest ended up getting a woman pregnant that was also married in his congregation, and so karma.
Weird.
But
Weird. Weird.
So anyway, that's a story for another day. But I know. I mean, I think kind of tying back together, being a chameleon doesn't mean like Tony said. It doesn't mean changing the essence of who you are. It means adapting. It means doing things. Finding the things in you that make that situation special, make that situation great, and if you're able to do that, and if you're able to get that back, I mean, there's one thing that I have come to the conclusion is, and part of this was because, like I said, I didn't know any different. I didn't know any better. There were things that I didn't even know that I was not getting that I so craved. Again, going back to the love languages, I love very differently than I want and need to be loved. And I would be 100% happy being loved the way I love.
Yes.
But I show love through primarily acts of service. My love language is physical touch. Now, don't get me wrong. I love to touch and be touched, but it's not the way I give love is. I want to figure out what I can do for that person, and that's and again, that's one of the reasons we think the love language is a little too simplistic.
Very simplistic, not a little too. It's very simplistic. He's being modest here.
Yeah,
I wrote them down. It is very simplistic, and you can take any Cosmopolitan 17 magazine and take the test yourself, and you could probably find out your love language. Like, oh yeah, those are my love
that makes
languages.
sense.
That makes totally sense. That's who I am. I'm also a Capricorn. Like, okay, cool. You want to live your life that way? Cool. That's not what this is about. This is about figuring out who the hell you are and being happy. That's what we want. Like, we really, really, I want this dude to be happy. He wants me to be happy. And
absolutely.
For goodness sakes, we are creating this so that you can figure out that you want to be happy, that you want it, because everyone does want to be happy. Whether it's with the person you're with, or whether it's the person, or you figuring out that it is the person you're with, and it's going to suck hardcore if you figure out and it's not the person you're with. It's going to suck. I am telling you that. Like, nothing that we're telling you is going to be easy.
Right.
Nothing we're telling you is going to be awesome and be like, oh yeah, I got a divorce, cool. No, that shit sucks. That shit sucks hard. And if I didn't have this guy, when I went through it,
and likewise,
when he went through it, I don't know where I'd be today. I do not. I can guarantee I wouldn't be sitting here looking at a fucking GoPro
or
telling you about my happiness.
Or in my case, may not have been here, period.
Yeah, there's some serious shit that happened that we both brought each other through.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you the magnitude of being happy at a level of just knowing what you want and communicating. Like, the importance of communicating what you fucking want. I'm not saying go out there and be like, I need you to be a porn star because I want more things in bed. No, I'm not saying that. Like, that's retarded. Like, you're barking up the wrong tree on that one. Sorry. But if you say, hey, listen, sex has been kind of, it's been a little boring to me lately, and I'd like to spice things up. Well, guess what you can do? You can fucking spice things up all by your fucking self and blow her brains out, and she'll be like coming right back to you and be like, oh my God, that was amazing. It's about how you approach a situation. It's about how you explain your situation, how you explain the things that you want. Because if I'm a chameleon and a jaguar comes up and starts talking to me, I don't know what the fuck this jaguar is going to be saying because I'm a fucking chameleon. But I can damn well show that jaguar what I want. And it's that bug that's sitting on the branch above his head. And I'm going to eat it. And that jaguar's going to be like, oh shit, that's a chameleon. He just ate that bug. Okay, cool. I'm going to leave him alone because he doesn't understand a fucking word I'm saying because I'm a jaguar. I'm going to take off. And if you're with someone who doesn't understand or is going to be mad about what you tell them and what you need, you're with the wrong person. Yeah. And I don't care if that's harsh for you to hear. Because if I would have told Andy three years ago,
exactly,
if I would have told Andy 3 years
exactly
ago,
where I was going.
Hey man, you don't need to be with this person.
We wouldn't be friends.
He'd probably never talk to me
again. And that is, part of the introspection and kind of the importance of making sure. And again, we're primarily talking straight to the givers because that's who we connect with. That's who we understand. That is us.
And as these go on, we are going to dive into what a taker is, what a taker takes, and what it takes to be with a taker. But right now, we're concentrating on the givers, what you're suffering with, what you're going through. If you're happy. Listen, if you're sitting here listening to this, like none of this applies to me. I am a giver, and I'm getting back exactly what I want. I am so happy right now. Email us.
We'd love to hear from you.
Email us at this email. Let's see, where is it going to be? Right here. It's going to be right here in this. I don't know, somewhere in this general area on the screen. The email is going to be there. Please email us. Also, if you're sitting there and you're like, "Wow, I totally identify with like half the shit you just said." Email us.
Yeah.
And guess what?
It's TNDA_CS@yahoo.com. So TANDA_CS.
And
TNA Consulting Services.
The last word in TNA is consulting. And if you do contact us reaching out for help, we're never going to judge you.
And we don't have all the answers. We do feel like we understand things far differently, and in many cases better than we understood them the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
And that again, that's why we're doing these podcasts. And again, just to show you how sincere we are about we knew we wanted to do something. Right? Initially we thought, hey, let's write a book.
Let's write a book because we have so much to say. And
we started like, hey, man, there's so much we want to talk about. How do we even start? And so we're like, you know what? We have these conversations. Let's just record them.
Yeah.
And so that's in general. This is cigar and alcohol talk. I mean, this is what we do. This is why we connected so well. We love just shooting the shit about real stuff, and we've learned so much from doing that, from each other, from ourselves. That's what we truly hope that we can
portray,
get across, and like I said, even if we just help one person, we don't know exactly where we want to take this, but we know that we want to reach out and share some of the experiences that we've been through, because the similarities that we have found between the two of us are astonishing.
Let me just go out on a limb and say you may never ever find someone who is as good as friends as we are to each other. So we may be like showing like something that you may never have, but as long as you have someone you can talk to, that's all it takes.
Yeah,
it really is, because this dude has solved issues for me by telling me some shit that he went through. I've solved issues for him asking him questions because I don't fucking know what he's going through, and like him answering his own fucking questions by telling me the question that I just asked. Like,
Yeah.
It's just insane.
Being able to have someone or multiple someones that you can have just real conversations with and have no concern of being judged or I mean, both of us have again, one of our other similarities that we've talked about in the past is neither one of us like confrontation. We don't like fighting.
I hate confrontation.
We're both also very competitive people. So not only do we not like confrontation, we hate to lose confrontation. And
part of the reason why I hate confrontation is because I'm not the best comebacker. So I'll lose some confrontations, and I hate it. So I just won't do it.
And that's where we got to a point where we avoided talking through things that should have been talked through because we knew how it would end, and it would start into a conflict, and it would end with us apologizing, folding in, and whether we meant it or not, or whether we felt we were wrong or not, we just would. And so the concept of being able to truly talk to someone with no hesitation, no fear of judgment, you have to find that person, and hopefully you can find more than one, but certainly that should be how you communicate with your significant other, and that's just massively important.
If you could just feel the severity and significance of that you have someone to talk to. And I'm going to say this again. If you don't, you now do.
Yeah, absolutely.
You now do, because our email is wide open. We both check it. We both read everything that's in there. And we get back to the people that do email us. Yeah,
and we want to hear how to better our own message. How to that's again one of the reasons that we're doing this is to help others that are going through things that we've been through, to help ourselves by making additional connections. Again, from my perspective. Love is life, and life is love. Period.
Yeah.
And more people that I can connect with and love and interact with, it makes me truly happy. It makes me truly joyous, and that's where I want to be. That's what I want to be doing. So we definitely want to hear from you. Like I said, we certainly don't have all the answers. We've been through some shit. We've been through some serious shit.
We've seen a thing or two.
We've seen it. to use the farmer's tagline.
Sorry, farmers, but if this ever goes viral, we'll ask for your permission later.
It's amazing. So
anyways, we have Yeti. We have, of course, Angel's Envy, Cast Crew, and Screwball. And then we've also already talked about our cigars, Bella cigars, hand rolled. What was that, Miami, Florida?
Yeah, so I was in Little Havana. The tobacco comes from Cuba, and it was just a really cool experience. Met the son and grandson of the owner. Watched them roll a couple of cigars in the shop. It was just really cool. But we'll have cigars from different places. Again, this is what we like to do. We just figured we'd start recording some of it and sharing some of our messaging.
This is what we do on the phone when we're not at each other's houses. So, again, if you just want to talk shit about us, email us. If you really feel a message or some
if you've got a question,
if you have any question, the only thing that we want to do is literally help us out. If you shit talk us, we're going to shit talk you right back. So bring it on. But we really want to reach the people who are sitting there wondering.
Maybe that's me.
Maybe that's me. Am I a giver and I'm not getting anything back? Am I with a taker, or am I a taker and I'm treating my significant other the wrong way that they don't know? Or do I even know what my significant other's love language is? Although very simplistic and can be dove into very deeply that we will do at a later date. So wrapping up everything that we just talked about, Chameleon, and everything that was discussed in this podcast, we are going to close this off by saying, hit us up on the email.
The only TNA you need is Tony and Andy. Not really, but Tony and Andy, we're here. Our sole purpose. I mean, we're not therapists. We're not doing this for session fees. We want to help some people. We love giving. So if you're looking for a little TNA, Tony
here we
and Andy,
are.
We're here.
We may not look like the TNA that you want, but we are the TNA you need.
Love it. Have a good one, guys.